in the sleepy coastal town of Wok Harbor, where the fog rolled in like overcooked rice, and the only nightlife was the neon glow of Lucky Dragon Wok House, lived Madame Ling, or as the locals whispered behind their takeout menus, the Asian Lube Woman. Madame Ling's restaurant was legendary. Her stir-fries had that perfect wok-hei breath of the dragon char. Her dumplings were so plump they looked pregnant with flavor. Tourists drove hours for her signature sesame oil glazed eggplant, swearing it tasted like enlightenment. But there was a catch. A slippery, spicy, horrifying catch. Every few months, a new visitor would wander in alone. Usually some cocky food blogger, a lost backpacker, or a guy who'd just been dumped and thought spicy noodles will fix me. Madame Ling would smile her too wide smile, seat them in the back booth near the kitchen, and say in her lilting accent, "Special treatment tonight, very authentic." Then came the lube down. She'd appear with a gleaming bottle of toasted sesame oil, the good stuff, not the cheap crap from the supermarket, and a tiny jar of fresh grated wasabi, so potent it could strip paint. Before the customer could protest, she'd flip them like a pancake, kung fu style, onto the stainless steel prep table, douse them head to toe in warm sesame oil, and dab strategic wasabi dots on the sensitive bits. "For extra heat," she'd cackle, twirling nunchucks made from dried soba noodles. The screams were muffled by the exhaust fan. Most victims staggered out hours later, shiny, traumatized, and weirdly aromatic. They never came back. They also never quite explained to their therapists why they now flinched at the smell of Asian fusion. The townspeople tried everything to stop her. First, the local busybodies formed the Committee Against Excessive Lubrication. They picketed with signs reading, "No more oil spills in our booths." Madame Ling simply deep-fried their flyers into crispy wonton wrappers and served them as free appetizers. Then the sheriff showed up. Big mistake. Madame Ling disarmed him with a flying sidekick, used his baton as a rolling pin, and sent him home with a doggy bag of mapo tofu so spicy he cried real tears for a week. One fateful autumn evening, a scrawny teenage delivery boy named Timmy Chen decided to become a hero. Timmy had watched too many kung fu movies and figured he could outwit the lube woman. His plan? Steal her prized jar of homemade kimchi, the one she kept locked in a shrine behind the walk-in freezer, rumored to be fermented with the tears of defeated rivals. Timmy crept in after closing. He tiptoed past the hanging ducks, dodged the mousetraps baited with shrimp chips, and reached the kimchi jar. He had just popped the lid when, whack! Madame Ling materialized like a nightmare in an apron. In her hand was not a cleaver, not a katana, but the rice mat. You know the ones, those woven bamboo sushi rolling mats that look harmless until they're swung with the fury of 1,000 ancestors. She rolled Timmy up like California maki, flipped the mat like a carpet beater, and pummeled him senseless. By morning, Timmy was gone. Only a faint soy sauce stain remained on the floor, and a single grain of rice that refused to be swept away. But Timmy did not rest. His soul, fueled by teenage spite and an unhealthy obsession with Tai Chi videos he'd watched at 3 a.m., refused to pass on. It swirled, condensed, and re-emerged as something far worse than a ghost. Inauthentic wasabi paste. Not the real green stuff made from horseradish and mustard seed. No, this was the fake neon green goo that comes in tubes at bad sushi joints. The kind that tastes like sweet plastic and betrayal. Timmy's spectral essence infested every tube, every jar, every dollop in Madame Ling's kitchen. Overnight, her food turned cursed. The stir-fries tasted like disappointment. The dumplings fell apart like bad relationships. The wok-hei, gone, replaced by the sad chemical aftertaste of wasabi-flavored despair. Customers fled. Yelp reviews went from 5 stars to 0 out of 10, tasted like regret and food coloring. Revenue plummeted. Madame Ling's empire of flavor crumbled. She tried everything. Exorcisms with incense, chanting sutras while brandishing a ladle, even offering free egg rolls to wandering monks. Nothing worked. The fake wasabi haunted her. It oozed out of pipes. It replaced her real wasabi in the fridge. It whispered in her ear at night, "You used low-sodium soy sauce once. You fraud." Desperate and broken, Madame Ling retreated to her tiny apartment above the restaurant. There, she met her final unbeatable foe, the one terror no wok master, no matter how skilled in Wing Chun or sesame oil application, could defeat. Her husband, Big Wei. Big Wei had spent 20 years in silent resentment, washing dishes while she became a local legend and occasional war criminal. One rainy Tuesday, after discovering she'd used his favorite Bruce Lee poster to mop up spilled oil, he snapped. No dramatic showdown, no flying kicks, just a rolling pin, a lifetime of quiet fury, and one perfectly executed domestic whack. Madame Ling went down like overcooked bok choy. The town awoke the next morning to find the Lucky Dragon Wok House dark. No more lube downs, no more screams, no more perfect wok hay, just blessed, boring normalcy. The townspeople gathered in the square, cheering. They tore down the old "no more oil" signs and replaced them with new ones. Domestic abuse, our daily defense against lube terror. The mayor declared it a town holiday. To ensure the tragedies of the Asian Lube Woman never return, he proclaimed, "We shall practice domestic discipline every single day, for safety,